I'll let you tell your story, because you've done, well, I would say we've really talked about options. What do you do after high school? You go right to college? What do you study in college? Do you go to college that requires you to do a cross-cultural? Do you do a service term sometime in your life, etc.? And all people, I think lots of kids do different stuff. And so I asked Andrew to Emily to come and just share with us what's your story, and you know, there might be stuff that we want to ask you about as we go along. But
great, thanks. Good morning. I guess I should introduce myself first. My name is Andrew Gordon. Thank you for coming to the family reunion. It's really great for you guys to join us. It's my sister, it's my father in the back. Yeah, I was really humbled by the opportunity to come and talk to you guys about this topic, and I kind of took a different take on it. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to take a gap year, whether that's after high school or other options like Senor was just talking about. But then I'm going to also take the opportunity to talk to you guys about my own personal experience that I had. I had the opportunity to go through Mennonite Mission Network to Asunción in Paraguay for 11 months. And we're going to get to see a whole bunch of pictures regarding that. But Emily, if you just want to put that there, that'd be great. The first thing I want to talk about is what is a gap year? And it doesn't even have to be a year either. It's really just any amount of time where you're kind of not on this same, kind of track that I think we're all kind of in. I mean, for a lot of us, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of, like grade school, middle school, high school. Okay, I've worked hard in high school, let's get a scholarship, let's go to college, let's work in college, let's get a job, let's get a family, let's this, that, and the other thing. But I think this period of time, this gap year, I'm going to call it that the whole time, is something really unique because it kind of deviates from that simple track that we have that we're often on. And you hear often today people saying how, I want to do something different with my life. I don't want to just be like, typical, keeping up with the Joneses sort of thing. I think this gap year is really an important concept that I think we can look at. And so, how do I know it's for me? And we're going to look at that too, because I think that's a question that we often ask ourselves. It's just like, well, maybe, okay, I know what I want to do in college. Well, that might be the case, but you can get a more refined look at maybe what you want to do, or maybe if you have no idea, we're going to look at that too. Because that was very much like myself. I had no idea. I still kind of don't have an idea what I want to do, but I have a better idea now. Yeah. Anyway, so taking a gap year, this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg. Here's some thoughts that maybe come to mind when you think about it. And you guys can feel free. This is much more intimate than I thought. In my class, when I was here, Senor said it was 20. I thought I was going to be talking up in front of you guys, but this is really nice. Nice little small circle. I'm very jealous. This would have been nice. But correct me if I'm wrong, maybe these are some of the thoughts that you have, like when you say, okay, if I was thinking to take a gap year, this is maybe what I'd be thinking about. Okay, I'm not feeling ready for college, maybe it's, okay, I don't have any obligations right now, nothing's tying me down, I have no debts to pay off, especially after high school anytime. I don't really know what I want to do after high school, or I want to see the world, stuff like that. You have all these things, and then, but below that is what exactly is the experience that you would be looking at. And I think these are some really important things about what a gap year could look like for all of you. And the cool thing about that is that you can tailor really whatever it is you want to do specifically to you and what you like, what you're good at, what you are passionate about. That's what's really cool. There's not just 3 organizations that you can choose from and it's only those 3 and there are those programs and that's what you're limited to. It's really dependent upon how actively you want to pursue it. If this is something that you want to do, you can really, construct for yourself quite the year. But for myself, I can only speak from, I guess, an intercultural standpoint from me going to Paraguay. And so the things I want to highlight are these. The first one is to embrace a new culture in a society today where cultural diversity and able to be to mediate between cultures, especially on the job or in the church or wherever. That's huge. And to be able to understand a different culture and what that takes and what that means is an invaluable skill, let alone all of the richness and the amazing things that come along with learning that new culture, no matter where it is. And even if you go somewhere in the United States, the culture between Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or Harleysville, Lansdale, Pennsylvania is 10 times different from St. Louis, Missouri, or Oakland, California, or Spokane, Washington. You know, you have a lot of different cultures just within the United States, and there's different people groups here too, so that's something to explore. Make relationships that last, you know, that stretch across the world. That's some priceless stuff right there. For example, I have people I consider to be my family or really close friends who live in another hemisphere, and that's crazy that you can still be able to connect to those people, and that's something that you're going to carry with you your whole life. Learn a new language, and I think this is crucial. This goes along with that first thing, and part of embracing the culture is there's no better way to show someone in their given culture that you respect them, like speaking in their own language. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. But to learn a new language, I mean, we're doing that here in a sense in the class. We're doing classroom learning, but to learn how to speak a different language conversationally and be able to engage people in a fluent way is, that's a tremendous gift. And you know, for me, I was only able to do that on a third grade level. When I got there, I came in to Paraguay with, you know, 3 years of high school Spanish. I thought it was going to be, you know, not enough, but it turns out that really helped me out. And we'll look at that again later too. But to be able to learn a new language, I think, is not only helpful in the sense during your gap year, but also, I mean, look at it practically. It's a resume builder. People love when you can speak more than one language. You can relate with more people. And again, if we're going back to the embracing of the new culture, like, there's just, it's kind of one of those skills that is very priceless. So then, again, that connects right here with attain skills to use in your career. We're all kind of in the same place in life, whether you're a junior or a senior or a sophomore in college like myself. We're very close to that time when, you know, looking for what we're going to be doing with our life is becoming important. And so, you know, when you take a gap year, no matter what it is you're doing, you're building that right there, life experience. And this is something that you can't gain in the classroom, and you can't gain it really anywhere else except for doing it. And then some other couple quick ones is build empathy for and grow relationships with missionaries, grasp an understanding of missions. These are some things that were a little bit more personal to myself, something that applied directly to me. Usually when you go and you're going through a Christian organization or you're going with ministry in mind, you will be connected with a missionary of some type. And so you're going to kind of get to learn what that life means, so on and so forth. Find a cause or organization that you can get behind for life. For me, you guys are going to learn a little bit about HIV/AIDS. That's the ministry that I was connected with was involved with helping individuals and families that had HIV. And so that's like something that will now forever be kind of imprinted on my life, and it'll be a cause that not only do I know more about it, but I'll be more prone to get involved with it. And then here, I think this is probably the most important one here at the bottom. It's push yourself outside of your comfort zone and get to know you. I don't know how much the English curriculum has changed here in like the past 5 years, but that makes me feel old. But sophomore year, like the curriculum was all about like self-identity and finding like out who yourself is. And I don't know if that resonates with any of you, but if you want to do that further, I think a gap year is maybe the best time to find that. Find out more about who you are as a person. Recently in my school, I'm a business administration major as well as a biblical studies major at Cairn University right now. I had a mock interview with some big Mahoff guy who came into our school, and I was getting this interview, and he looked at my resume, and we started talking about this time off that I took, this gap year that I took, and he said, I wish every single person who came out of high school or was in college would take the time to do a cross-cultural and do something like this. And this was a guy, he worked for, he was a consultant for big companies, and he helped them with hiring processes and management and so on and so forth. But that's not important. What he really got at was this, was that our generation, us, we are very much in love with being in control of everything that's in front of us. We like having, you know, our lives compartmentalized. We like being in our comfort zone. We like being in control. And we like rolling the dice with some things, but not things that are as big as maybe taking a gap year or pushing ourselves outside of our cultural boundaries, our, you know, all these different things. And I think that's one of the the big things that if we explore that as individuals and look at what that might look like, that's when all these things start coming together. Thanks. So, some frequently asked questions about a gap year. Is a gap year expensive? Yes and no. And that kind of directly correlates to the next question. And whether you do this right after high school, during college as part of your college curriculum, during college as not part of your college curriculum, post-college, whenever it is, there's dozens of options that you can choose. The bottom line is that if we spent half as much time looking into, taking cross-cultural experiences, taking gap year experiences, as we did looking into colleges, I think we would find that the variety and the diversity of options that are out there for us is huge. And who would help me raise that support, that money? So, I mean, think about, draw a 25-mile radius around this school right here. How many churches are inside that 25-mile radius? Can you count them? Countless. There's hundreds of churches. If you write a good support letter and you bring a little bit of your own support with you, you're going to have your support money like that. And so I think, and for a class like this size, I would be really willing to just say, contact me personally. I would love to, help jumpstart you in that way if that's something that you would, really want to pursue. Because I think that experiences like these are priceless and kind of propel you into, it's hard to describe. It propels you not only into life a different way, but into a different frame of thinking. Anyway, third one. Will putting college off 1 or 2 years, if you chose to do it that way, would that ruin the college experience for me? No. Here, high school is like this, college is like this. You have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school, where the freshmen are 14 and 15 and pubescent, and the seniors in high school are bearded and muscular and huge and gross and manly. And it's weird. In college, everyone is huge and gross and manly. And it's great. And so I got to college and I was kind of I had this little, complex in me. I was like, am I going to be old and weird? And maybe that's really an insecurity of mine. It didn't work out like that at all. You don't even know. You can't even tell the difference. And I might think differently than my peers in terms of, I'm a sophomore now, I should be a junior. But you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And so I think that's something that maybe comes up in people's minds that, okay, well, what if I do this before college? Is that going to just throw me off the rails with my life? Is everything going to go to crap? And the answer is no. It actually, I think what you'll hear most times is when you take that time off and you are doing that self-identity sort of process, you find that you're coming into college with more focus. And you're not necessarily going to college, I have to change my major, I have to do this, that, and the other thing. You're going to know what you want to do. And that's big. That's really helpful. Wouldn't being away from home that long be too difficult? And this is a real question. I think this maybe is the most real question up there. And this is serious, because for everybody this is going to be different. You can again customize this kind of amount of time to what you want it to be, depending on if you would want to be away from home for a long time, maybe not. But I think if you made a list of pros and cons and you looked at being away from home, but you have Skype, you have Facebook, you have blogs, you have this, that, and everything to stay connected. It's not like I came home and my parents and my sister and my brother looked at me and they said, "And you are again? Excuse me? You don't belong here." It's not like that at all. It was, in this day and age, it's so much easier to stay connected that not only are you going to build your own experience and have that for yourself, but you kind of have people who are, when you build support and your family, you have people who are investing in you, in your trip, in your time, that you can then invest when you get back and kind of impart these things that you've learned to them for the rest of your life. Last one. Even if I did want to go, who or what group would I go with? And this kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier in saying that there are just countless organizations out there who open up different possibilities to you. And if you did this during college, and for example, if you do this during college and you have college loans, I know of multiple organizations who help you pay off college debt while you're doing their service or their thing. And so there are just plenty of people who have you as an individual in mind when you're thinking about taking a gap year, in terms of making it a possibility for you. They understand that financially this is going to be difficult maybe, so they're going to help you. And there's different stuff like that. And there is a blank slide for you. So let's go to the next one. Great. So why Spanish class is among the most useful classes you can take? And now this is going to be a bit more from speaking from my personal experience. When I was in Spanish 4, and Senor will be the first to tell you, I was not like the brilliant student. I did not get a 5 on the AP exam. I did not get a 4 on the AP exam. I did not get a 3 on the AP exam. I mean, I was not a brilliant Spanish student. I wasn't like excelling. And it wasn't really even, you know, my greatest passion in life. But, you know, it was one of those things that didn't click for me until after I graduated, or until I looked at, you know, started looking at missions really seriously. Taking Spanish 4 AP, you know, made my transition into a Spanish-speaking culture twice as easy as the other people who are on my team. And if that's something that you are looking to pursue, or even thinking about, are doing ministry in a culture where Spanish is the, you know, the mother tongue, then that is the way to go. You know, just this class alone, I had a vocabulary and a knowledge of verb tenses and everything under the sun that you could imagine from the classroom. That doesn't directly translate over into conversational Spanish, but it made my learning curve that much steeper, and I could pick it up that much faster. It was really useful. And the difference between, and again I touched on this earlier, between someone respecting you as a person for who like you are, or seeing you as a typical entitled, maybe ignorant American, could be how well you speak their language. And often people will have grace, and people will be very understanding and know that you are trying really hard. But if you can speak with someone and do so in such a way that does justice to their language, I think that creates an equal playing field and allows people to understand what you're saying and not who is saying it. So, yeah, now we're going to look a little bit more specifically at my experience, and I guess I should be a little bit more lax than that. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've gone over yet, or want to interject something in terms of a gap year? Any questions? That's totally fine. I'm going to talk a little bit now about my experience.
I just piggyback on what you said.
Sure.
About the fact that getting to college late doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
I went to college 4 years late.
Yeah.
My next younger brother went to college right out of high school. So he was a senior when I was a freshman. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Everybody thought I was his younger brother. And I, of course, did not tell them different.
Exactly. You just rolled.